Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, Spazzy Dragon here, aka Syndromes, and it is the second month of the new year, and you know what time it is? Yeah, that's right, time for Freelancer. And yeah, I am genuinely sorry that it has become a bit of a running joke on this channel, that every single year I try to play Discovery Freelancer, I try to get a good series going, and I've been kind of proving to myself time and time again that Discovery Freelancer does not really make for a good episodic gameplay sort of thing unless you are just recording the single-player campaign. And, you know, it's kind of challenging because the nature of Discovery Freelancer is a multiplayer experience on a hardcore roleplay server. So the actual gameplay part of this game is completely unscripted, there's no do-overs, and there's not a lot of things you can skip selectively in order to make for a good series without making some sort of very interesting moments happen. Moments that can be either good and make for interesting footage, or at the same time be the downfall of the whole series, as I experienced it twice now in the years ago. So, this time, with Discovery Freelancer, I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. I am going to apply the same kind of gameplay footage cutscenes as I did with, say, Avorion. Avorion in general was a game that suffered from very similar issues on the account of it being sometimes very slow. And so, with Discovery Freelancer, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I am starting this video during the very late part of the prime hours, so if you're going to take a look at the player count on the server, don't be alarmed, it's just that I'm currently getting on the server when it's almost past midnight for me. But, with that in mind, let me tell you what exactly I have in mind today. There's the server, there is our character list, and as you can see, once more, it is completely empty. We are going to start off from the ground, but with a twist. In the previous videos, I have probably made a running mistake that I've kind of tried to make the series a kind of a fusion of gameplay, let's play, and tutorials. Now, the funny part about this is that today, at February 2021, I have not actually played Disco or have been involved in its actions since 2017. I am more or less getting a chance to go into Disco with a complete reset when it comes to any knowledge of the ongoing lore. This has been a very troublesome thing for completely new players because, technically speaking, Discovery Freelancer is a always ongoing multiplayer online D&D session, for the lack of a better, comparison. And so if you go into it and you're handed down a history book that basically is a compilation of all the things that players have done over the span of, oh dear, how many? A lot of years now. Needless to say, it is going to become kind of problematic. But yeah, that's the overall idea. So, in what I started to say is that instead of treating it as a tutorial, because I can't anymore, I have not been involved with Disco intimately for too long to actually know any of the new features, and I've been actually very sure not to spoil them for myself. Instead, I'm just going to bake a character and see what happens. And in terms of character, I've been actually kind of wondering how we want to do this. I've been kind of thinking about different types of characters and different kinds of ways to play them, and I'm going to go into detail about it soon. But first of all, we need a name. And if I am not mistaken, I do have my phone here somewhere where at some point in time, I actually went to the notes because I had a pretty interesting little name for a character ready. Yes, there we go. Are you ready for this? The first character, or at least that's going to be their alias, is going to be Baron Bin Bem Brono. So, needless to say, this is a very catchy name. I'm not going to most likely have any reason to change it, but this means that the character, due to this name, is going to be very easy to spot, and I'm going to pay the consequences for that. But what kind of character is this going to be really depends on what we are going to do in just a moment. So, as usual, we are going to start off in the middle of the Liberty systems. A completely new character is going to, thankfully, receive a rather detailed map, and over here we also have a help section. Over here, just like that, you will be able to kind of just zoom into it if you are a completely new player. It's going to start off by saying that you can click on these planets, go for information, and it is just going to talk about all of the things that you need to know. So if you are a completely new player, if you want to try to play this along with me, well, this is your chance. So, what do I want to do with this character? What is its purpose? Usually, in the previous episodes, in the previous series, I would usually say that do not worry about your first character's backstory or lore or anything like that, because you need to get accustomed to the roleplay environment first and foremost before you can actually make these choices. It's just way too early for you. Now, since I'm not a new player per se, I can skip that. And so, this is what I had in mind. I'm going to start us off with a show restarts command. Now, this is just for the sake of a completely newly created character to be set up in any specific manner, and what I'm trying to look for here is the Liberty Rogues. So we're gonna restart Lee Rogues. Sorry, Liberty Rogue, and we're gonna get kicked. Now, starting off as a completely unlawful player is something I do not, under any circumstances, suggest to a completely new player. The mechanics involved on a roleplay server when it comes to player interactions that also include attacking players, robbing them, etc., etc., or at least their characters anyway, is very complex and not for a completely new player to do. What we are doing here, however, is simply the following. I want our reputation, because the character that I'm going to be playing as is going to be a reformed individual. I'm going to go into complete details as to what has happened to this character to actually, earn this sort of situation. But for the time being, we are actually going to grab ourselves a Freelancer ID instead, and just to replace the original Liberty Rogues ID. I'm going to talk about the ID in just a moment, and basically we are a ex-rogue. Now, if I'm not mistaken, yes, we are actually starting off in the Galileo system, which is a place between Liberty and Kasari. We're over here. This is the border world. And these places are going to be our safe haven. Now then, there is something that we also will want to very quickly do, considering this is a completely new player. This is a completely new character, rather, and we don't have anything much in the terms of money. So, we're going to go to discoverygc.com, we're going to go to the forums, and we are going to go for the player utilities and the interactive nav map. Now, there is something very specific I'm going to be trying to get here, and in order to do that, we are going to go to the Galileo. Now, there is a wreck. It's called the Free Spirit, and it's over here at the edge of D5. Now, since this is one of the easiest ways you can actually make money at the very, very beginning of the game, that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, let's talk a little bit about the character itself. Actually, we are starting off over here on Attica. Do we have anything along the way? Yes, we do. We have something at the border between F2 2, and 3. So, as I was saying, let's talk about the character itself. I have seen a lot of characters in my time, and it is really one of the staples of a roleplay server and a character that, in all, practical terms, what we're doing here is role-playing each other's NPC encounters. That's basically the gist of a real-time roleplay server. It is a little bit complex than what I just said, but that's basically it. For practical examples, I want you to just think back at any of your preferred roleplay games, such as Mass Effect, for example, and the situation's very simple. You know how you choose dialogue options for these games? Well, Disco is very much kind of like that. And there's the Adventure Galley. So I'm kind of tempted to see, what can I... Okay, mostly nanobots. That's gonna be completely fine. Nanocapacitors. Nothing all that interesting, really. That's completely fine. I'm going to pick on to my train of thought in just a moment, so you get out of here. But yeah, so think back at any of those games where you have a dialogue choose mechanic, which results in different situations. The best way I can describe roleplay servers is basically the same sort of game, but instead of choosing pre-written dialogue, you type it yourself as if you were the character speaking. That is really the gist of it. Now, the added bonus for Discovery Freelancer is that all of this takes place in the Freelancer universe, which is really compelling in by itself. If you've not played Freelancer, and if you don't want to play such an outdated game, then, of course, by all means, feel free to just watch a Let's Play. If anything, I do have a Let's Play of my own. Now then, as I was already saying, I have seen a lot of characters. And so, just straight up thinking up a new one is a little bit more of a challenge that you might initially think, simply because a lot of people have already done very different things. And the reason why I started off my first character, my quote first character, as a Liberty Lawful is very simple. I want to try to play a reformed character. I want to see not a defector that has stripped himself of the lawful life of a, lawful factions, say the police or the Navy or whatever, but instead, I want to do the exact opposite. I want to see if a hardened criminal can integrate themselves back into society, and how will society actually play it? Of course, this is going to involve a lot of situations where there is no other choice for me than to just spout exposition about my character's origins, but, well, at the same time, that's just the name of the game. Now then, let's very quickly just sell all of this. I actually picked up quite a few interesting things over here. These Iron Hammer transport turrets cost a pretty penny, and that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, the other thing that I want to do here is I want to make sure... It looks like we can't do it, actually, from this base. We don't have the reputation, but we need to get better guns. If I am going to leave the Society of the Liberty Rogues, I need to make sure that I don't have any Liberty Rogue weapons that might cause problems. I'm going to go to the PvP arena system by typing /con, and the reason why I wanted to come here is simply because I want to buy some generic, regular Freelancer weapons. And it looks like we actually have tachyon cannons now, which is interesting. When I played the game last, the only plausible, really, choice for a Freelancer was to use laser weapons. And of course, you also have the particle cannon that is known as the Purple Goddess. Now, yeah, I think this is going to be enough. This completely drained our current amount of money, well, credits, but that's completely fine. We came here to burn money, and that's exactly what we're going to do. Now then, this is where things come a little bit more interesting. I need to fix my reputation before I can actually set out to do something and interact with players. Worse things worse is that, technically speaking, I am still a rogue in terms of IFF. Now, the IFF, this blinking thing, is the name of the faction that is currently presented as my character. It means that if the opposing player has Liberty Rogues as red to them, I am going to show up as a red contact. Now, I am not exactly sure if I want to do that. It might lead to a very interesting situation, but, well, in order to do that, there is a couple of things that I need to fix, and one of them is I need to find Xenos. I need to find Xeno NPCs. This might actually take a while, because, honestly, killing just a regular NPC does not really yield a lot of reputation with lawfuls, but considering Xenos are actually hated by a very good portion of the Sirius sector in general, that is probably going to be our best bet for now. There is a base over here. It's a player base. It's called the Sanctuary. I am genuinely curious as to what it is. And most importantly, why is it taking damage? Or rather, why is it so damaged? Okay, there we go. Let's see, what do we got? We picked up some very, very low... Ooh, cargo. Artifacts. That is actually interesting. Trade routes. We could... Cortez, Galileo. Leiden base in Galileo. It looks like it actually sells well back on the base that we actually just came from. Okay, so here's the idea. Let's go very quickly to check out what is that Sanctuary base, and after that, we can just dump off this cargo back on Light and get some fat stacks of cash. Okay, so this is the Sanctuary. What do you sell here? Interesting. This place sells things that could be sold where we're actually going for. And I am sure I'm going to just grab that. Yeah, sure. It fetches us a pretty penny. Let's grab that. So it kind of feels like this is a sanctuary for some sort of unlawful group, most likely. Attitude neutral. The description of that base probably was somewhere on the base itself, if I'm not mistaken. So at this point in time, our character name still worked on. Our character has pretty much decided that he is going to try to break off of the Liberty Rogues. He is going to try and integrate himself back into the society. Now, the only problem is that the only ship that they could actually get was this dinky little light fighter. Now, can they survive? Can they break off enough? Can they find a job to sustain their new preferred lifestyle? Well, that is for us to find out. Okay, so needless to say, that didn't actually give us too much more money, but at the same time, it is just enough. I am very, very tempted to try and go for the Grizzly. The Grizzly is a shuttle. a shuttle has access to a thing called turret steering that might actually do very well for us. Ooh, the Falcon has gotten itself a new model. I did not know this, and this looks actually amazing. Okay, ladies and gents, we have dropped off our cargo, and I'm pretty sure that all that we can do here is at an end. Let's go to Kepler. Before we do that, I am actually going to go to Kepler, and we are instantly going to check if there is anything over here that we can salvage along the way. This first part is going to be a little bit tricky for us, and a little bit grindy if I'm not mistaken. The current situation is very simple. We are still affiliated with the Rogues. Our reputation is still affiliated with the Rogues. We need to fix that before we can safely enter any of the civilized space, because everything here at the center of Sirius is pretty much red for us. We don't want that. One of the easiest ways to do this, or at least back in those days, was, apart from getting bribes, which I cannot do because I lack the credits to do that, is to shoot Xenos. Xenos are a terrorist faction within the Republic of Liberty. They are basically disgruntled workers, and yeah. Anyway, we just got a lot of neobium, and also a lot of iron hammer turrets. Very good. This was a transport. So wait, did we miss the other one? I'm going to go into... There we go. Oh no, never mind. It's over there. It's over there. It's over... at the very edge. Yes, there we go. There it is. Starbeam turrets, a lot of them. Very poor guns, if I am completely honest. Now then, I want to very quickly sell off all of our stuff. The closest place for that would be Ames Research Station, and hopefully none of the player bases over there are actually hostile to us, because those could kill us very easily. Right now we still haven't met any players, which is probably a good thing. I am probably not really ready. I'm not exactly fully set up to interact with players in a way that I want just yet. Oh, those are bounty hunters. Now, thankfully, NPCs in this game are only dangerous when it comes to designated PvE missions, and flavor NPCs, like these ones that we just see flying around everywhere, they are mostly harmless, even for a small ship like me, thankfully. Now then, one of the things that makes making videos of Discovery Freelancer kind of problematic is simply the fact that Freelancer is a very relaxing game. It's basically very similar in theme to, say, Euro Truck Simulator, for example, your Elite Dangerous. There's a lot of downtime in this game. And that's just something that you need to know about. And so, one of the ideas is that these videos are actually going to be heavily edited, just to cut down all of the very long and strenuous tasks. So for example, I'm going to tell you that, yes, I am going to shoot these Xenos, but I'm not going to just take you along for the ride for all of that process, because I'm pretty sure it is going to take quite a significant amount of them. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So we found the wreck, and thankfully it's another transport wreck, so there's a big chance that it's going to give us better turrets again. But we also found this base. Luina Outpost. Let's see what you actually sell here. A Nagaro white boxes, bio-neural blue diamonds, chilies, cigars, counterfeit software, cracking catalyst, deuterium, affiliate. Oh, this is a lane hacker base, maybe. That is a lot of things. You know what? Oh, so I can actually sell this here. That's nice. But I want to buy the cigar. Because what kind of ex-rogue am I going to be if I don't have a cigar? So what about the equipment? Do you sell anything here? No? Okay, fair enough. I'm going to repair myself. Let's take a look here. Puina Outpost Kepler. Welcome travelers from all over Sirius. Puina is a perfect place to stay long, short term, doesn't matter. You will be well cared for, selling or buying. Contact Mr. Daves using the usual communication networks available. Have a pleasant and relaxing day. So this is basically Levski from Star Citizen. That is good to know. Now then, we do have those transport turrets. So I want to sell those off, just in case we accidentally meet our end fairly quickly to a lot of NPCs. And after that, I'm going to go back and try to find some Xenos to blow up. Oh yeah, by the way, when I said that this series might be very similar to our Avorian series, was simply because I am also going to be playing for an hour and condensing all of that into a video. So that just brought us over the first million credits mark. Credits in general come pretty easy in this game, but you'll need all that to set up your multiple characters. The whole point is to have many of these characters. Now then, here comes the fun part. Now, we need to find some Xenos, and the Xenos actually do have a base here. Okay, so there are the weapons platforms. I don't know if... Oh, here we go. Oh, that's a bounty hunter. That is actually not what we want to do. The bounty hunters are going to be very problematic if we... Oh, there we go. Xenos. Eagle. Rank 16, though. Not sure if I can take this on. Yes. And we also got a bit of money out of that. There we go. There's another Xeno Eagle. There we go. And last one. After that, I'm gonna try shooting the weapons platforms. I don't remember if they actually gave you any reputation. Usually it's not a problem, because I'm actually so unused to having to manually adjust the reputation of my character. Usually you would just make the character you want, but I wanted this to be kind of natural. Like, I am actually a rogue trying to become lawful. Okay, there we go. We got some, Xenos. A lot of Xenos. I like that. Come to daddy. Hopefully I can actually unironically say daddy now, considering I have hit my 30s. Yes, daddy spazzy. Now, if I only found someone to love me, I might even have a family. But I'm such a unlikable person in real life that it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. So let's take a look. So obviously Xenos are currently completely hostile with us. And as for everything else, rogues are still maxed out. We are slowly gaining something with the hackers, I think. We have become neutral to Liberty Police, and we are almost neutral with the Liberty Navy. Now, the lawn reinforcement is fine. I don't have to worry about that. That is fairly easy to make neutral. But we are directly hostile, mostly, to all the corporations, and they own a sizable amount of bases inside of Liberty. That is why we need many more NPCs than this. But this is actually a pretty good farming area. I think I'm actually going to remain here. These NPCs are a lot easier to shoot than the ones in Kepler. I still need to become better with Interspace, Deep Space, Crier, and Ajira. Once those are done, we should be able to start entering Liberty. Okay, there we go. We just got 1.7 million credits for getting 30 kills on these NPCs. Because the bounty system is actually pretty amazing, especially for a completely new character like this. Now... oh, so close. So we already killed 70 fighters. NPCs, anyway. To be fair, I already said that this might take a while. Okay, so we almost have universal shipping done. After that, we need to worry about these three. DSE, Interspace, actually Orbital as well, actually Crier as well, and Ajira. Strange. You know what's the worst part? My immediate recollection of all of these reputation ties range from 2008 and onward. They are terribly, terribly outdated, and so that's a lot of guesswork on my part. At this point, I'm just trying to shoot every single... just every single baddie I see, and just see what happens. Well, the rogues don't seem to mind, but at the same time, it doesn't really look like Ajira or any of these guys care either. And that includes universal shipping. Okay, contingency plan. So this is a huge gamble, actually. I have been playing for the last 1 hour 25 minutes. The current situation is that I've killed a lot of Xenos, then I moved here, killed a lot of Hagosha, and moved to Kyushu to kill a lot of Farmers Alliance. Now this is really nice and all, but the problem is this. Ajira, Crier, Orbital, Deep Space Engineering, Interspace, Samura. All of these are still hostile. At the time recording this, I have killed 90 NPCs. It's taken quite a while. At this point, considering shooting all of those targets, have pretty much maxed me out with lane hackers, outcast junkers, well, not lane hackers. But basically what I'm saying is, it's going to be easier to just kill the hackers and rogues, and then get their reputation back by shooting Xenos. See, the funny thing is, I don't have to do this. I could just create a character that, you know, is just a freelancer from Liberty and just roleplay as if I have come from the rogues. But that doesn't seem as fun. I want to actually be a deserter from the Liberty Rogues, and that involves shooting these people. It looks like we are slowly getting there. Although, yeah, Liberty Rogues are in fact taking quite a sizable hit in terms of the reputation. Okay, careful. I don't want to actually... Shite. It happened. We just switched to Junkers. Okay, ladies and gents, this concludes episode number 1. I have done exactly... well, an hour and a half, basically, really. But the current situation stands as such. I couldn't get all of the factions in Liberty that I personally wanted to be neutral to me, and so I had to resort to actually shooting rogues and hackers. This ends up with me getting a Junker rep, because we shot all those Hagosha anyway, so our Junker rep was basically the next best thing. Now then, the situation is very stupid. This means that I have to go back to Colorado and farm the Xenos again, just to get that rogue rep back.